Gridiron Grinder! Hut hut hike!
All right, party people. It is Wednesday night, Gridiron Grinder time. I'm Ryan. With me, as always, is my buddy James. Just a couple dudes hanging out, talking about what's going on in the NFL each week. We are going to be doing our week 4 power rankings and game picks tonight. And so, yeah, with all that being said, how's it going there tonight, James?
It's going pretty good. How's it going with you?
Oh, not too shabby, man. Not too shabby, just hoping to pick up a little bit of steam here. I know you mentioned before the show you've been a little tired, me as well. It's been a lot of gray skies here in Michigan lately. Sometimes that kind of just drains the life out of you, as you remember from many moons ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I remember that. Like here, like I was telling you, like I didn't really sleep that well one night, and then like last week, the girl's birthday party on over the weekend that took a lot out of me, and it's one of those weeks.
Yeah, just grinding at you. All right, homie. Well, hey, I guess let's not waste any time. Whenever you're ready, dude, give me your 1 through 5.
All right, so a little bit of shake up on my 1 through 5, not much. 1 and 2 still the same. Philadelphia and Buffalo. I kind of thought about dropping Buffalo a little bit because they didn't beat down Miami like I thought they would. The
Gotcha.
Eagles, like the Eagles, lost that game. They fucking pulled it out of their ass with back-to-back fucking blocked kicks, and then fucking Davis. Was it Davis? Yeah, fucking runs it
Yeah,
back.
Jordan Davis. Yeah,
runs
the
it
big
runs it back
hoss.
for a touchdown, and he didn't even have to. The only reason he did was
Yeah,
because of the fact that like that was the spread. Like they covered the spread with that touchdown.
yeah, yeah. He man, I forget what they were saying. They were saying he ran like a fucking 4.8 or something at the combine a few years ago.
Yeah, they clocked him at like 18 point something miles per hour
Yeah,
on
and
that
he's
run
like
back.
330 pounds, man.
Yeah,
He's fucking
so
huge. Oh,
and,
I would
and
not want to get in front of that guy. I tell you what, if he's got the ball, I am not making a tackle.
no, fuck no. Um, And at 3, I have Washington. They moved up one spot. I probably shouldn't have done that since though they just lose to fucking. Did they lose to 2 weeks ago?
Oh, I'm
Oh
drawing
yeah,
a
Green
blank.
Bay. Green
Yeah,
Bay. They just did just lose to Green Bay, and Daniels is out or whatever. But
they
I
did put
wanted
up
to move.
41 without Daniels, right? So,
Yeah,
it's all right.
exactly. Then Tampa Bay moved up 3 spots to number 4. I
Okay.
think Tampa Bay is pissing me the fuck off. Like they are pissing me off. They had that game won, and then fucking block field goal, run back for a touchdown. Aaron Glenn's dancing like a fool on the
Oh,
fucking sideline, and then they just again drive the field, last
yeah.
second score, win the fucking game. Like, come on, motherfuckers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And in Green Bay, I dropped Green Bay 2 spots off the loss to Cleveland. I wanted to smoke them. I really did. But the more I thought about it, I think they overlooked Cleveland. And I think that's what the issue was.
Yeah, that could have been, I mean, they just, yeah, it was a really weird game. I only watched about half of it, kind of flipping channels, but they definitely did not look prepared. So that's probably
Yeah,
a good way of looking at it. All right. So for me, I've still got Philly at 1, Buffalo at 2. I bumped up the Chargers by 1 spot. They're now at 3. I bumped up Tampa Bay 2 spots. They're now at 4. And then I went a little, nutsy cuckoo on the Lions as I've been gyrating around every week, and I moved them up 5. So I got them in my top 5 again. The Lions, man, they've pulled a full 180 since week 1. And that's kind of why I leapfrogged them over Green Bay, even though they lost to Green Bay in week 1. I just, looking at how different the offensive line has gotten each week. So, like week 1, they were horrible. Week 2, we were really only successful running off tackle. And then here we go, week 3. It's like we look like we got a top 5 offensive line again, and we're just crushing people. And and so I don't know, man. There's been a lot of talk about the offensive line coach really getting these guys in sync. If that's all true, then I have my faith fully restored in the Lions. And I think it was a statement win at Baltimore, which is why I got
Mhm.
so excited about it. And so, just giving you my background on why I chose to leapfrog the Packers. But back to you at 6, my man.
At 6, I'll just continue with the Lions. I have the Lions at 6. I moved them up 3. I didn't leapfrog the Packers. I did seriously consider it, but that first game, like I told you, they'd be fine. I told you same thing happened last year against Tampa
Yeah.
Bay. They put up a skunk fest. I just with the Lions, like, and they called it on the broadcast. I like the fucking attention to detail on these plays, like
Yeah.
the Amon Ra pitch. If you watch that play, when Goff handed the ball off to Amon Ra, he had the ball up like this, so Amon Ra just had to pitch it, as opposed to when you normally hand it off, you have it like this,
Yeah.
and
No, I,
just
I
like
agree. Yeah. I like that you put it that way, that their attention to details phenomenal. And I would say this Chicago tried doing one of their trick plays, and it worked actually, but they had, I think it was Swift. It was like a flea flicker deal.
mhm,
And it's like you just look at how some teams just can't seem to figure that shit out, right? And it
mhm.
worked, but the pitch back from Swift to Caleb Williams was like such this awkward high, like loft backwards. It was like, oh my God, it's about to get blown up, right? And obviously Caleb Williams ended up still making the play, but it just goes to show that these trick plays, man, they're harder to execute than people think.
Yeah, and the thing I loved on the fucking broadcast, and I forgot which one said it on the Monday night broadcast, if it was Buck or Aikman, but they said it looks like Ben Johnson needed this team. This team didn't need Ben Johnson. I fucking love that
uh,
comment.
yeah, that's a nice statement. Yeah.
7 at 7, I have the Chargers. I moved them up 3. Yeah, it was a last second field goal against Denver, but I mean, I'm starting to really believe in this Chargers team.
Yeah.
Baltimore 9 dropped them down 1 after losing to Detroit. Kind of smoked Kansas City by 5. They look in disarray, and they've
Yeah.
looked all fucking season in disarray. Like Mahomes doing stupid ass shit and then fucking lucking out by happening to get back and take the ball away from the guy that's trying to recover it instead of trying to scoop and score instead of just falling on the fucking ball. But like Mahomes throwing the ball backwards, I think it was
Yeah.
Collinsworth on Sunday night said Juwan Taylor can't block anyone unless he's lined up in the backfield and false starts, which
Yeah.
you and I have been saying for years.
And they're just not calling it, man. Like they should be calling it like on every fucking drive. And it
Oh,
just is not. It's just like, come on, what are we doing here?
fucking Philadelphia. Philadelphia false starts on every fucking tush push.
Yeah, you were
Two of
telling
them,
me that. Yeah.
two false starts. But then I was reading an article that defenses are doing the disconcerting signals, like acting like in on the line. So maybe it's fair that it's going both ways. They're not calling that, and they're not calling the false start, but still, every
Yeah.
fucking time they're false starting.
Yeah. The rules got to be executed consistently.
Yeah,
And
and
we're seeing a big issue with that. Yeah.
the league said this week, oh, we're going to call that play tighter, and then it turns around and they didn't
No,
fucking do
no.
shit.
They called it tight in week 1 last year, and then they stopped calling it. And now
Mm-hmm.
they're going to say it again, but they're not going to do it. And so it's just stupid. And I don't know. I think you say the Rams at 8, or did I miss your comment on that?
I probably skipped over the Rams at 8, and because I have
So you bumped
LA.
them, you bumped them up despite the close loss. Yeah,
Yeah, I think like going into the week, I thought the Rams were one of the better teams in the NFC.
yeah,
I think they're definitely a top 10 in the league. They were putting on a fucking show against Philadelphia in the first half, and
yeah.
Philadelphia couldn't do shit. And that's where I was concerned in the Lions game, because that's the same thing the Lions were doing in the first half. They shut down Baltimore in the first half, and then I was concerned they were going to come out and do the same shit that the Rams did in the second half. The first half was almost perfect for the Lions, and just like the Rams, except for that last drive. I would have liked Amon Ra to take one more second off the clock and get 2 or 3 more yards before that field goal.
I got you.
So back to
Yeah.
you at 6.
Okay, so yeah, at 6, I got the Packers. I dropped them down 1. Probably, I guess this is a thing, with the Cleveland loss, a part of me wanted to go further, but I was also trying to keep them fairly close to Detroit since they did beat them, right? And I didn't want the leapfrog to be like an egregious kind of thing, right? So,
Yeah.
I did that. Plus, it's a one game thing, like you said. It could have just been, overlooking the Browns. But 7 and 8, I've got the Chiefs and the Rams. They didn't move. The Chiefs, I actually like what you did where you dropped them despite the win because it was the Giants and they really didn't even play a good game. I probably should have dropped them, but either way, I kept them for this week. 8 with the Rams. I didn't move them because they lost to my number 1 team. At 9, Washington. Despite the win, there was really nowhere for them to go on my board. A lot was kind of just solidified above them at this point, and I didn't want to tweak that. And then at 10, 10, I'm sure it's a little bit aggressive. It's like the 180 of what I did with the Lions. I dropped them 7 because we've now seen them lose 2 games this year where they've basically shot themselves in the foot. They did it in week 1 against Buffalo, and now they did it again week 3 here against the Lions.
I disagree with them shooting themselves in the foot in week 3 again in this last week. Week 1 against Buffalo, yes, 100%. So the only play I can cite that could be them shooting themselves in the foot, if you're saying that's shooting themselves in the foot, you're taking away from the phenomenal play that Hutch made.
No. I don't want to take anything away from the Lions, but you got Derrick Henry fumbling late in the game in both the games,
Right.
week 1,
But
week 3.
that was a fucking phenomenal
And
play by
I know,
Hutch.
but you're talking, a Hall of Fame guy, right? And so that's something that I just think it's worth pointing out. And then Lamar was taking bad sacks, in my opinion. Some of them he's trying to make a play and he's running around, and then next thing you know he's getting sacked fucking 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage when he could have thrown the ball away, or he could have ran it and basically had no gain or something. And so to me, it's like they were trying to force some things and it ended up biting them a little bit. And so, that's all I'm looking at with Baltimore.
Yeah. And so I can think of three or 4 sacks where one, he did look to try to throw the ball away, but he realized that if he would have thrown it away, it was either going to get deflected, popped up in the air. 2 or 3
Sure.
of them, he was trying to run because the pocket collapsed on him, and fucking
We were just all over him.
we were just like Muhammad fucking coming back and making a sweet play. That one of them wasn't a sack, but like I think part of it, I see part of your point, but I also think a lot of it had to do with what the Detroit's defense was doing to him.
Yeah, like I said, I don't want to take anything away from Detroit because Kelvin Shepard's got that defense humming, man. Those guys are fired up every week with him, and I love seeing that, dude. And so, just give me partial credit as my justification for dropping them, and we can move on.
No, I hear your justification. I think some of
Yeah.
your justification is overlooking how well the defense actually was playing.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
All right. 11, I have Indianapolis. I really wanted to move them up to the top 10, but when I sat down and looked at it, I need to see a little bit more from them to put them ahead of Kansas City. So
Okay.
they only moved up one. San Francisco, I dropped them 6 spots, even though they won. And the reason I dropped them is because of the fact that this there's just something with San Francisco, like fucking Bosa's out for the season with a torn ACL.
Yep.
Like these injuries are plaguing them, and they're just like they barely beat Arizona, who I have bottom third of the league.
Yeah, I hate to say it, man. They got to blow up the roster. They're not going to, but
Yeah.
this is going to happen every year until they make some sweeping changes.
Then 13 Broncos, even though they lost to the Chargers, I have the Chargers in the top 10. I didn't move them. Denver's really been unlucky this year. They're 1-2. Their 2 losses were
Yeah.
they did everything to win the game. They just couldn't get that last play or fucking against Indianapolis. They stopped them for a 60-yard field goal. The guy missed it, and then there's a fucking bullshit leverage penalty.
Oh yeah.
14, Seattle. I moved them up one. That defense played good. I know it was against New Orleans, but I love what I saw out of them against New Orleans. They didn't look past them to this week on playing Arizona, a divisional game. So I moved them up one, and then I moved Minnesota up 5.
Okay.
Partly because I had Minnesota and Cincinnati relatively close, and Minnesota just beat down Cincinnati. Partly because I think this team is better with Wentz at quarterback than McCarthy.
What I was saying last week, I was
I know,
predicting it.
I know,
Yeah.
and
And it just and look, I don't want to like, I'm not saying like McCarthy's a bust or anything. It's just that maybe he's not ready yet. Because like we've talked about, this basically is his rookie year. And so maybe he just needs a little bit more time watching a vet do it while he gets up to speed, of the speed of the NFL game, right? And so that's okay. But
and there's also a difference between watching a vet do it and being able to go and practice versus
yeah,
watching a vet do it and not be able to do shit.
exactly. Yeah. And I think that's part of it, right? Is that he's going to get the reps this year. It's just that, you know, throwing him in the fire maybe isn't the right move. But all right. So at 11, I've got Indianapolis. They had nowhere to go despite the win. So they were locked in at 11. 12, Denver. I didn't move them because it was a close loss against one of my top teams. 13, San Francisco. They got the win, but it was not compelling enough for me to move them up, so I left them where they were at. 14, Pittsburgh. I moved them up 2 spots. I don't know what to say about Pittsburgh. I'm not digging this team at all, but whatever. They're in my top 15 for the moment. And then at 15, Minnesota, I moved them up 2 spots. Like we said, I liked them better with Wentz. Obviously, the defense was lights out, right? But,
Mm-hmm.
Wentz was also fairly comfortable in the pocket and smart with the ball. So back to you at 16, bud.
16, I have Cincinnati. I only dropped them 2 after getting their shit pushed in against Minnesota. Partly because of the fact that when I looked at the rest of the board here, a lot of teams lost in this range, with the exception of Pittsburgh. And when I sat down and compared, when I looked at Pittsburgh, who I have at 17, and Cincinnati, I thought even with Browning at QB, Cincinnati could beat Pittsburgh the
Okay.
way Pittsburgh's playing. Um, 18, I have Houston. I dropped them 2 spots. I wanted to drop them more, but I just
Yeah.
I'm
I'm,
kind of
I'm,
holding on. I don't know what the fuck's going on in Houston. There's something off.
yeah.
19 Raiders. only dropped them one. They got their asses kicked by Washington, who I have in the top 5, so I'm not going to kill them too much. And then 20, the Jets, I dropped them one. I thought about actually moving them up because the Jets have put up 2 or 3 good games, two good games through the
Yeah,
first 3 weeks of the season.
and they did this one with their backup quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I see good things coming for the Jets. It's just fucking Aaron Glenn, piece of advice. If there's time on the clock, don't dance like you just fucking won the
Yeah,
Super Bowl.
it ain't over till
Second
the fat lady sings.
second piece of advice, effort doesn't fucking count in this league. Don't be fucking clapping after a loss when your team's coming off the field.
Yeah. Well, that was his way of saving face, I'm sure. So, all right, 16 for me. I got Atlanta, dropped them down 2. Thought about doing a lot more with the way they lost. I mean, that was just crazy that they got freaking blanked by fucking Carolina. But I moved them so far up the board, and I felt so good about them in the first 2 weeks that I thought, okay, let's not smoke them yet. Let's see it one more time. 17, Seattle moved them up 2 spots. 18, Houston dropped them 3. I'm with you, man. I'm like right on the cusp of giving up hope because this is an immensely talented team. We know that their offensive line is in the works, but they've got a ton of talent on offense otherwise, and a shit ton of talent on defense, and they just can't put any of it together, man.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, 19, Dallas, I dropped them 1 spot. 20, Arizona, they basically got saved by my board. I would have pushed them down, but there's sort of like a little bit of a smush here where a lot of teams kind of got saved just by the board this week. So back to you at 21, homie.
All right, 21 at the Patriots. I'm sorry, the Jaguars. I moved them up 3. They beat Houston. I probably should have moved them up more, but I don't know. I don't trust that because they've been dominated by Houston and Jacksonville for so long. I think it was more of a focus on that game than them fucking being good. Um, 22 Patriots. I didn't move them off a loss. I like what I'm seeing out of the Patriots. Yeah, they didn't put up the points, but they're showing me signs of life that I haven't seen there for a couple of years.
Yeah, and that one, Stevenson fumbled going into the end zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was, some stuff there that could have changed the game.
The funniest tweet or X post that I saw after Henry's fumble on Monday night was it said Ramonderick Stevenry.
Mashing
Kind
them
of
up. Yeah.
mashing them up because they both have had crucial fumbles this year. All right, 23 Chicago. I moved them up 4, partly because I had Dallas and Chicago so close, and Chicago beat the shit out of Dallas. 24 Dallas moved them down 1. Probably should have moved them further, but they kind of got saved by the rest of the board. 25 Panthers moved them up 1. Um, I I don't know what the fuck that game was. I don't know how to fucking explain that game at all.
Yeah. I mean, I forget the stats, but and I don't know if this was the final stat line or what, but at one point in the game, Atlanta was totally dominating yards and time in possession, and they had 0 points, and Carolina was
Mm-hmm.
already up big. It was like, what the hell? Like, how does that happen, man? It was just a fluke
If
kind of messed up game.
I remember correctly, I want to look it up,
Yeah.
but I think that was the final. Atlanta had here it is. So Atlanta had 332 yards. They had They were close. I'll call that a tie. Atlanta was 3 minutes less time of possession than Carolina, but
Okay,
Atlanta had two interceptions and they had three turnovers to Carolina's one.
gotcha.
Look, how Atlanta feels about Cousins to fucking bench Penix in the game and put Cousins in tells you how bad they were fucking playing.
See, I didn't even see that. I saw the highlights and the final score and stuff. I didn't even know that Cousins went in that game. Jeez.
Yeah, I want to say it was in the third
That's
quarter.
bad, man. They should not be aborting Penix like that this early. And I know that it doesn't mean they're aborting him, but it shows a bit of a lack of confidence in him in week three, man.
Maybe it was okay. So it wasn't the third. It was in the fourth.
Okay. Still, it's weird, but okay. Maybe they're just thinking, hey, we're blown out. Let's not let the guy get hurt.
Yeah, so it was in the fourth quarter that they put for both for their first possession in the fourth quarter. So for the two possessions of the fourth quarter, they played Cousins,
Gotcha. Hmm.
and their second possession in the fourth quarter, they didn't fuck. They only ran the ball.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess if you're losing like that and whatever, I don't know, maybe there's something to be said for run Cousins out there, let people see that he's healthy, maybe dangle him as trade bait or whatever before we get close to the deadline. I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird to me. I think to me, it's if you're committing to Penix, it's like, hey, you need to get out there and you need to finish this game, finish it on a positive note, build some momentum going into next week. But, you know, pulling him to me is like taking away some of the confidence that he has to be in the starter. But it's all right. It is what it is.
Yeah. So with Cousins, let me see: short pass, run, short pass, short pass, short pass, short pass. Uh, Behind the line of scrimmage pass, short pass. So they didn't throw anything really downfield with Cousins. So what are you really showing with Cousins if he's not even gonna throw the ball more than 5 yards?
You're showing that maybe the Achilles is better a year removed and, you know, he can move around in the pocket a little bit or whatever, but you're also not having him take unnecessary risks. But yeah,
All right,
like I said, the whole thing to me is just weird. It's weird. So,
20 seconds. So
okay.
we'll take our break and then we'll come back to you at 21.
Sounds good. Thanks for watching the clock.
All right, sounds good. Talk to you in 10.
All right, we are back and off to my side of the board here, James. At 21, I got the Raiders. They didn't move. 22, Patriots didn't move. 23, Jets, they didn't move. All three of those teams lost, but basically the board below them was pretty much locked, in my opinion. And so they stayed where they were at. 24, I've got the Bears. I moved them up one. 25, I've got Jacksonville. I moved them up one. With the Bears, I probably need to start thinking about what you did and rectify the difference between Dallas and Chicago on my board. Um, I would say I could do something similar with Jacksonville and Houston, except that I'm still kind of holding out hope on Houston, but that's just something I got to make a mental note on. But anyhow, back to you at 26, man.
All right. 26, I have the Cardinals. I moved them down one after losing San Francisco. 27, I smoked fucking Atlanta, moved them down six after that shit show they put on against Carolina. 28, Tennessee, I moved them down one. I am seriously questioning whether what's his face, uh, who's the coach there?
Callahan?
Callahan, thank you. I'm questioning whether he knows what the fuck he's doing, if he knows the rules of the NFL. Like, seriously questioning if he knows the rules of the fucking NFL.
Man, I didn't watch the game. I will just say this. I thought he did well last year as a rookie head coach, but lacking a quarterback. Now he's got a rookie quarterback and it just I don't know.
So,
But what are you saying? He's had some like
so I
bad
forget.
play calling and stuff like
Oh,
that, or what?
fucking shitty. Okay, there's fourth and short. I forget the yardage. I think it was in the third quarter. Tennessee, not Tennessee, Indy called the timeout. Then coming out of that timeout, Tennessee calls a timeout. Then initially puts the offense out on the field, then switches it to the kicking team, gets it. I'm sorry, no, puts the offense out on the field, gets a delay a game, then switches to the kicking team.
Okay.
Like, what the fuck? Like, dude, it's not that hard to figure out. Like, I
Yeah.
think, like, are you going to go for it or are you going to kick a field goal? Make the decision, go with it, call it. Don't look like you have your head up your ass and don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Well, and I did see he handed off play calling duties this week, which is, usually a bad sign, right? That's something a coach does when they're getting into desperation mode. Maybe because of a situation like that. Maybe, his argument as well. I got too wrapped up in the play and just wasn't, I need to be a head coach. I need to let somebody else call the plays. I don't know. So,
No, I think it was. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, and I'm a fucking idiot, and don't know whether I want to fucking go for it or just fucking figure it out. It's not that damn hard.
okay.
And there's been other instances where like I'm starting. That's the one that sticks out in my mind. But there's been other instances I've seen where I'm like seriously wondering, do you know the rules of football?
Some coaches struggle with it, man. They struggle with, they might know it in their head, but when it comes to practice in the game, sometimes they have those lapses, unfortunately. But
Yeah. 29, the Browns, I moved them up three off the win. 30, the Saints, I dropped them. No, I left them the same. I considered dropping them, but my dumpster fire, one of the teams I moved to the dumpster fire, I think is a bigger dumpster fire than the Saints. I mean, they're both candidates for the dumpster fire, but I'm gonna just
yeah, yeah, I got you. All right. 25, or I mean 26. I got Cincinnati. I dropped them 2 spots. You and I are very far apart on Cincinnati right now. I obviously smoked them the other week when Burrow got hurt, but that's okay. So they're kind of down near the bottom of what their range probably is on my board. 27, Cleveland. I moved them up one. Hey, it was a nice upset, but they're still not doing much on offense, and I don't know. It is what it is. 28, Miami, I dropped them one. 29, Carolina, I bumped them one just because, it's kind of one of these things, man. They looked like such dog shit in weeks 1 and 2 that it's like, okay, now you flip and you look good in week 3, but, you don't have me convinced until you show me that you do it again. Otherwise, it just seems
mhm.
like a total fluke fucking thing. And then at 30, I got the Saints. I dropped them one.
All
So
right.
back to you for the dumpster fire.
31, I have the Dolphins. And I considered putting the Dolphins at 32. I only moved them down 2 spots. They just look lost.
Yeah.
Completely fucking lost. Don't know. I don't know how to explain it. They look disinterested, lost. Fucking. If you have a wide receiver like Tyreek Hill that can stretch the field, get a fucking quarterback that can throw the ball to him where he doesn't have to turn around and run back
Yeah.
to you to make the fucking catch. 32, the Giants. I moved them down one off the loss to Kansas City. They're starting Jackson Dart this week, and that's why I considered leaving them at 31 and moving the Dolphins down to 30, 32. And I don't see hope with the Giants right now. Maybe Dart is going to fucking come out and light the world on fire. But fuck.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Yeah, and so then for me, my dumpster fire, Tennessee and the Giants, nothing's changed since last week, which is, here I am trying to maybe defend Callahan a little bit, but I got him in the dumpster fire, so I can't defend him too much, right? And then the Giants, I will say this, Cam Scatabo looked freaking, I don't know, man. I liked it, It was reminded me of a different version of like a Peyton Hillis, man, the white boy
Mm-hmm.
making some plays in the ground game, and that one he stretched out to get in the end zone was sweet. He just runs with a full head of steam, man. I like seeing that running style. And, but yeah, other than that, the Giants, they got nothing going on. Maybe Jackson Dart helps. I don't know, but they're in bad shape. So that's all I got for the power rankings.
So last week was another fucking shit show for me. And you keep doing fucking good, getting 75%, fucking 75% overall. Oh, let's go back. We forgot to
Sure.
we talked about it this week and we didn't mention it going in. We're doing the same bet as we do every year on this. I mean, it's gonna get away from me pretty fucking quick if I can't figure out how to fucking pick a game. Last week I got 8, you got 12, gives me 26 or 54% on the season. Your 12 gave you 36 or 75% on the season. Good fucking job.
Oh, thank you. I've been steady each week, which is, kind of crazy for the first couple weeks of the season, but a lot of season to go, right? You're kind of lagging your historical win percentage. So, I would fully expect you to revert to the mean here. And then I'm also, over what my historical win percentage is. So a revert to the mean would bring me back the other way and get us pretty close. But, just trying to help you keep your chin up as you work things out. And I'll let you take the ball and run from here, my man.
All right. So first up, we have the Thursday night game tomorrow night. We have the Seahawks at the Cardinals. I like what I'm seeing out of Seattle. Yeah, it was New Orleans, but they seem to be putting it together there. I'd like to get better quarterback play out of Darnold, but I just don't fucking like Kyler Murray, so I'm on Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going good with that. And so I had made this pick originally the week before, and my board has shifted a little bit, which kind of makes it a tighter thing for me right now, but I'm still running with Arizona. Basically, I've got Seattle like 3, 4 spots ahead of them on my board, which is like right at that borderline of where I would maybe flip it. But it's, with it being the home game for Arizona, I'm going to stick with it for the time being. And I'll let you know as we get closer if I decide to change my pick. But I'll probably stand pat with it.
All right, then we have I forgot to look up
The
where
Dublin game.
it's. I was going to ask
Yeah.
if it was Dublin or if it was London. Early fucking butt ass crack of dawn. Not for you, for me. 6:30 a.m. kickoff.
Yeah, I was just going to
Minnesota.
say, yeah.
Minnesota. Technically, the Steelers are the home team in Dublin. Man, I just think Minnesota with Carson Wentz is a better team, and I just fucking want to see Pittsburgh lose. I'm on Minnesota.
Yeah, I would say this, that if it was in Pittsburgh, I would feel more conviction for taking Pittsburgh. But I have these guys, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, right next to each other on my board. with Pittsburgh just being one spot on top. And so I'm going to respect the board. It's the neutral field. The Wentz thing, it, I mean, hey, I liked what we saw last week, and it could for sure happen again this week, but I got to respect the board for now. And so I'm going Pittsburgh.
And then we have the Washington Commanders, probably Jaden Daniel less again at the Atlanta Falcons. After what we just saw out of Atlanta, I don't think anybody in their right mind could pick Atlanta to beat the Commanders. I mean, if you were starting at quarterback, I'd probably still pick the Commanders.
All defense.
So,
I can hand the ball off, James.
yeah, I'm on the Commanders.
Yeah, same here. I mean, they're so far apart on my board now that it just, I gotta stick with Washington. The backup quarterback does still make me nervous. I know that Mariota had a great week this past week, but historically Mariota is not like Mr. Consistency, right? And so that makes me a little bit nervous. Plus, I think Atlanta, they know they got to bounce back, and it's at home for them. But I'm still sticking with Washington because I got them in my top 10. So
and that's something to note with Minnesota and the Commanders, who are both starting their backup quarterbacks this past week and this week. Their backup quarterback plays a similar style to their starting quarterback, which is good for the continuity of the offense. I remember a couple years ago, or even fucking last year, like the Browns, they had Deshaun Watson as their starting quarterback and Joe Flacco as their backup.
Yeah, just a totally different kind of situation, right?
Yeah. Oh, speaking of the Browns, next we have those in a couple picks. I skipped one. Then we have the Saints at the Bills.
Upset alert? No.
I could see New Orleans winning this game. And the reason I could see New Orleans winning this game is because as we've talked about with the Bills in years past, the same thing happened this past week where they played down to their competition.
Yeah.
And they played shitty football against Miami. And I think that could happen again but I think they'll edge New Orleans out just a little bit, but I think it's going to be a closer game than people expect. I'm on Buffalo.
Yeah, I'm glad that you reminded me of that because I already had it in my head that I was basically going to say, Buffalo knows that they can't afford to lose games because later in the season, there's playoff seeds that are in line or at stake and whatever. But you're right, they always do seem to play down, which is kind of why that ends up being such an issue for them at the end of the year. And so I still think they get this one. It's in Buffalo. They're not going to let down the Bills Mafia against the Saints at home.
All right. Then we have the aforementioned Browns at the Detroit Lions. With what the Lions defense did to fucking Lamar Jackson, 7 fucking sacks this past week, if they don't sack Flacco 15 times, I'm going to be disappointed.
I will just say this. You got to remember, Flacco's been in the league a long time.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the clock is ticking, and he's got to get rid of the ball, right? It's just a matter of, is he going to be able to do it in a way that doesn't result in intentional grounding? So that's all I will say about that. But yeah, I mean, I'm 100% on Detroit in this game.
Yeah, exactly. I don't care that Cleveland just beat the Packers. I think part of that was the Packers overlooking Cleveland. I think also part of it was, Jordan Love, he doesn't always have that it. Like he sometimes has those
he's
games
lacking.
Where he plays like shit.
Yeah, he's lacking that killer instinct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt you. We get these random little, lags or whatever, technical difficulties, and I'm like, did he pause for a second? Can I jump in? What am I doing here? So yeah, go
Oh
ahead.
no, it's always good. I'm always fine if you jump in, but I think more it was more on the Packers and Cleveland being good or be actually beating the Packers last week. I don't see the Lions having an off game against the Browns. Although I mean, in theory, for the Lions, if I remember their schedule correctly, it could be a potential trap game because I want to double check this.
Yeah, I
If
mean,
I'm remembering correctly,
I don't think they're gonna take that mentality having lost in week one, right? Because this would put them at 500 if they lost this game. I think they're like in full blown killer instinct, not to use that phrase again, but man,
yeah, no,
Detroit just, they've been fucking dialed in since week two.
yeah. So next week is the potential trap game.
Okay.
Because next, no, whoa, is that correct? It is. Wow, interesting.
What's that, homie?
So they played Baltimore this past week. They play
Yeah.
Cleveland this week. They play Cincinnati next week. They play
Oh, they're
Kansas
playing
City.
basically the whole NFC or AFC North.
Yeah. Then they play at Kansas City the following week on Sunday Night Football. Then the week after that, they play the Bucks at home on Monday Night Football.
Oh, I thought you were going to say then they're playing Pittsburgh like they were knocking out 4 out of 5 for the AFC North. But all right, I got you.
Yeah. I just I was like, whoa, they play Sunday night and then they play fucking Monday night. They don't play Pittsburgh until week 15.
Well, I mean, if we run through the
So
first
they got
three,
a rough
we're doing
stretch
Pittsburgh
though.
a solid, right? Because we'd be
Yeah,
handing L's to
exactly.
all the other teams.
On paper, this is a rough stretch for them. Now it seems like
Yeah.
because they just played the Ravens, then they got the Bengals not this week, next week, then they got the Chiefs the following week, then they got the Bucks the week after that, then they had the Vikings the week after that, then they have the Commanders, then the Eagles.
Yeah, the Lions have a hard fucking schedule, man. We've talked about it.
And like they play in what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Starting in week 9, they play Commanders, Eagles, Giants, Packers, Cowboys. Anyways, I digress. We both were on the Lions. I just got crazy sidetracked there. All right.
It's all
Then
good.
we have Tennessee at the Texans. I just got done saying that there's something wrong with the Texans, but I don't know if
Callahan.
Callahan knows. I keep when I go to say Callahan, I want to say Cohen.
Tommy Callahan. Callahan Motors.
Yeah, I
Tommy
want to
Boy,
say
the old movie.
I want to say
This is not
Cohen
his name's not Tommy. Yeah, but
because
yeah, yeah.
I get them confused.
Oh,
In
Liam
my head,
Cohen.
Liam
Yeah.
Cohen with Carolina versus
Yeah,
Brian.
because
Is that right here?
Callahan was in Tampa Bay before,
Cohen.
and then Cohen took over for him at offensive coordinator. Yeah, I got you. All right.
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I don't think Callahan is a good head coach. I don't think he knows the rules of football. I'm not wholeheartedly, but I'm on the Texans.
Okay. Yeah, I'm taking Houston as well, right? But I honestly, when I looked at this game, I was like, okay, if I didn't have Tennessee in the dumpster fire, maybe I would be like thinking, oh, could they finally get one here? But it's in Houston, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Houston's got to fucking win this game. It's gonna be, I'm not saying D'Amico Ryans is getting fired, but somebody's getting fired if they don't win this game. DeMeco Ryans is going to have to fire somebody from his staff if they do not win this game.
Yeah. All right. Then we have Carolina at the Patriots. Look, Carolina beat the shit out of Atlanta this past week.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to regress back to the team that we saw the first 2 weeks of the season that looked like they didn't even like the first 2 weeks of the season. The Carolina Panthers looked like they couldn't beat a middle school lightweight team.
Yeah.
And then they go out and look like world beaters against the Falcons. I think that was an aberration. I think they're going to regress back to what they were. Patriots have been looking progressively like they're getting better. They haven't put the wins together, so to speak. But I'm on the Patriots. But I think I'm I think there's if Carolina comes out and plays like they did against Atlanta, I think there's a chance for Carolina to win the game. But I'm still going to stick with the Patriots.
Yeah, I like the way you're putting it, man. And I'm taking the Patriots as well. It is in New England. I think there's pressure on Vrabel to get a win here. And it's, I think New England's figuring things out every week, right? Like they're starting to figure out that Diggs is not the wide receiver one they were hoping for. And so they're trying to get the ball to other guys. I think that in the running game, they've been trying to stay committed to Stevenson, but he has had a history of fumbling the ball. And I'm not going to say it was a nail in the coffin last week, but I think that they're going to do similar to what I'm saying with Diggs, which is they're going to emphasize other people now because they know that they've got to make an adjustment. The problem with Stevenson is, right, they got so much money committed to him that it was just, why not try, right? And the guy
Mm-hmm.
was, he was a good bruising back for Belichick for a long time. But, um, I don't trust Carolina. New England, I know that they're having a rough start, but I think that this could be a turning point for them. So I'm going New England.
All right. Then we have the Chargers at the New York Giants, who are starting Jackson Dart at quarterback.
Yes.
So I'm torn. Like I know I've known Jackson Dart is got to become the starter eventually. Russ has looked like shit. He's been throwing arm putts
He had
all over
one
the
good
fucking.
game, yeah,
He had the one good game, but then
that they lost.
finished it with a clunk.
Yeah.
Do you see like late in the game against Kansas City, they had first and goal. He threw fucking four incomplete passes.
Yeah, that was
One
not.
one went up the fucking tunnel.
Yeah.
One went
Yeah, he was launching them. Yeah.
6 yards behind his receiver. One of them hit the fucking upright. Like, do I think I don't know if I like Jackson Dart starting against the Chargers in that defense because the Chargers defense is looking really good.
Yeah.
I think because it's a situation where you don't have that much film on the quarterback, Jackson Dart could come out and light the world on fire, and the Giants could win the game because of that. Like like a couple years ago, where fucking
A
Mike
surprise
White beat
factor. Yeah.
Buffalo. But do I think it's likely? No. And I'm going to go with the Chargers in the game, but I wouldn't be 100% surprised if Jackson Dart lit the world on fire.
I got you. Yeah, I'm going with the Chargers. It's hard not to, right? I got them so high on my board. I got to stick with them. The Giants are the bottom of the bottom. It would be really fucked up if I decided to override this game. But um, yeah, I mean, you said it all, man. I don't need to beat a dead horse. I'm going Chargers.
All right. I want to look at something.
I think it would be a big hit to Jim Harbaugh's ego too if he lost to the Giants. Not that swings things one way or another necessarily, but I don't think Harbaugh is going to like take them lightly, right? Because he wouldn't want to risk being embarrassed. So,
Yeah. So then we have the Eagles at the Buccaneers, who at the beginning of the season, before we saw what was going on, I thought this was an incredibly hard start of a hard stretch for the Buccaneers. They right these next 4 weeks versus the Eagles, at the Seahawks, versus the 49ers, at the Lions. On paper, coming into the season, I thought that this was a hard stretch. At some point, the bloom's going to come off the roads on for Baker Mayfield, and they're not going to be able to come back and have a game-winning drive and at the end to end the fourth quarter for another week. I think this is the week. I think Philadelphia they're good enough to know they know they can win any game, and they turn it on at the right moments instead of going balls out all the time.
Gotcha.
I'm going to go with Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a fucking lights out, awesome game. I mean, this is what my 1-3 ranked teams, 1-4. So I think it's going to be a fucking awesome game, but I'm going to go with Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So we actually both have these guys at 1-4 in our power rankings, and I'm with you. I'm going Philly. I would say, they're close enough on the power rankings that with it being in Tampa Bay, I could think about going Tampa Bay. But the difference, why I wouldn't really consider it here, is that we talked about this last week. Tampa Bay has 3 of their top 5 offensive linemen out, man. I don't know what's going on with Tristan Wirfs, if he's back or not, but it just against a Philly defensive line, I don't know. I got to go Philly, man.
So Wirfs is questionable. Charlie Heck is questionable. Mike Evans is doubtful.
Oh, yeah, Mike Evans with
Baker's
the hamstring,
questionable.
They've already been very streaky in the run game this year. You add in these offensive line issues. I don't know, man. I feel pretty good about Philly. I would say in a different week with less negatives going against Tampa Bay, I would think about taking them as the home team, but I'm just not going to do it here.
Yeah. All right. Then we have the Colts at the Rams. If the Colts win this game, I'm going to Vegas and I'm putting $1,000 down on them to win the fucking Super Bowl.
I will fucking meet you there, dude. I will meet you there. And I'm hoping they win this game because, dude.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm like fucking loving their little Cinderella action right now. I don't know when it's gonna fucking change, but I like it.
I think the Rams defense is the best defense that they're faced. Do I think they'll regress completely to what we expected at the beginning of the season? No, I think they're going to struggle. I think it's going to be a close game. This is one where I could see the Colts winning the game, but I'm going with the Rams because of the fact that I'm more confident that the Rams will win the game.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely I'm still going to pick the Rams, right? Even though Indy's having this crazy story, it's still very hard to believe, man. It is still very, very hard for me to believe. It's that I guess I just feel like Daniel Jones could fall off and be Daniel Jones any week.
No, exactly.
Stafford is the opposite of that. That Stafford could put up fucking 400 passing yards in any given week if he needs to, right? And so it's, and they got Kyron Williams running the ball and the defense and everything. It's just the Rams are a much more complete, reliable team, and it's in Los Angeles. So I got to take Los Angeles, although I because of the hype train with Indy, I would love to flip the pick. I just can't do it, man.
100%. All right. Then we have the Jaguars at the Niners. Even with all the injuries that the Jaguars have, the Niners have, I can't see the Niners losing this game. I think the Niners, they have the injuries. I think they'll put something together. I don't think Jacksonville's that good, so I'm going to go with the Niners.
Yeah, and I mean, you hit it. Jacksonville's not that good. The roster's still very weak in comparison to San Francisco, which, despite the injuries, they still have one of the deeper rosters in the NFL. And that's reflected in both our power rankings, right? Despite what's going on in San Francisco, we still have them very high compared to Jacksonville, fairly low. And so I got to go San Francisco, man.
All right. Then we have the Ravens at the Chiefs. Who would have thought at the beginning of the fucking season these two teams would be 1-2 going into this game? I think
with their wins against bottom feeders.
Yeah, their wins against bottom feeders. I'm not confident about it. I think the Ravens are going to bounce back against the Chiefs. I think the Chiefs look in disarray. The disarray with the Chiefs is what's preventing me from overriding my power rankings on this and picking the Chiefs, even though I have them at 9 and 10. I don't trust what I see out of the Chiefs right now, so I'm going to go with the Ravens.
Yeah, I would say that I'm maybe kicking myself a little bit for how aggressively I dropped Baltimore because I put them below Kansas City in my power rankings, and the game is in Kansas City. So I'm kind of like stripping away my ability to override this. Both these teams are playing bad football overall.
Mm-hmm.
I think Baltimore has shown the ability to move the ball better. Kansas City, I believe, has the more stout defense. And so with that being the case, I guess I'm comfortable sticking with Kansas City and saying maybe Mahomes will just be clutch, whereas Lamar is not, and that'll be the difference maker.
All right. Bears at the Raiders. My problem, and the reason I can't pick the Raiders is because we've talked about it. They don't have the weapons for Geno.
But they're playing really bad football.
They're playing really bad football. Yeah, it's at home. Yeah, the Bears have only won one game this year, but they showed signs of life this past week. If the Bears threw out a clunker this past week, then I might have gone with the Raiders here. But because the Bears actually played like they knew how to play the game of football this past week, I'm going to go with the Bears.
Yeah, no, I mean it's compelling, right? Chicago has shown signs of life every week, and this past week they put it all together against Dallas. The Raiders are, man, they're having so many struggles. This is another one where I think I backed myself into a corner in my power rankings because I have not boosted Chicago enough, and I gave the Raiders maybe more credit than they deserved early on. And so I'm kind of in a position here where it's in Las Vegas, and the way I got my power rankings set up, I got to pick the Raiders. But I could definitely see it going the other way. But I'm gonna stick with the Raiders, man.
Right.
They got to get off their asses and get it together, right? That's the bottom line. It's going to be at home. Pete Carroll, I'm sure he's like working every bit of magic he can to tell these guys, come on, we need a win.
Yeah. And we have Sunday night because there's a Monday night doubleheader. Green Bay at Dallas, Micah revenge game. Look, the Dallas Cowboys defense can't even fucking stop a cold. Also, they should fire their entire coaching staff for a play they ran in the first quarter this past week, fucking handing the ball to fucking CeeDee Lamb as if he's a fucking running back, at which he got a high ankle sprain, is out 3 to 4 weeks for. I want to know who the fuck thought that was a good idea.
Yeah,
like seriously.
If it works, we look like we're on the cutting edge of play calling. But if it doesn't work, you look like a fucking idiot.
I have to believe that with the fact that the Cowboys defense is fucking atrocious, that the Packers are going to lay it on hard and fucking beat the shit out of the Cowboys. So I'm on the Packers.
No, I like the way you're saying that. And I look at it in a very similar way, right? Cleveland's defense, say what you want about their offense, Cleveland's defense with Jim Schwartz running it is still a very, very fucking good defense, right? The Dallas defense is fucking garbage, man. And they've been garbage since Dan Quinn left. It was a
Mm-hmm.
180 in one offseason. It's been horrible. And so Green Bay, I think that they get the offense fucking humming this week and they get the win.
All right. We got 3 minutes, so we got to run through these last three real quick. Otherwise, you'll have to
Okay.
stitch another video. So we got the Jets at the Dolphins. Dolphins look like they don't know how to play football. The Jets are actually showing signs of life. I think the Jets will win the game and finally get Aaron Glenn his first win as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean the momentum, despite the losses, the momentum seems to be there for the Jets. I think for Miami, it's at home, and I don't know. I guess I'm just fucking hoping they win one, you know. So I'm giving a little home field advantage, man.
All right. Then second Monday night game, Cincinnati at the Broncos. Broncos just got their shit pushed, or Bengals just got their shit pushed in. Broncos have been right there and just like fluke lost games.
Yeah.
I feel like the Broncos have to turn it around, otherwise the season might be lost for them. I'm going to go with the Broncos.
Yeah, and I think for Denver, like you're saying, it can't just be a win. It's got to be a commanding victory, and I think they'll
Mm-hmm.
get it this week.
Then we have next Thursday, 49ers at the Rams. With the injuries and everything with the 49ers, I have to believe that they're not going to be able to beat the Rams. I'm going to go with the Rams, even though Sean McVay does struggle playing Shanahan.
Yeah, if I see um, what's his face, Mac Jones light it up this week, maybe I'll tweak something here. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I got to go Rams, dude. Got to go Rams.
All right, so that's the picks for this week. Next week we're gonna take off. I have some stuff going on. So um, we'll those so watching, like, subscribe. We'll catch you in 2 weeks. Hopefully, I make a little bit of a comeback with these wins and then narrow that lead you have.
Holy what? No, I got you, man. All right, bud. Yeah, it was fun, man. Like always, it's a good time.
All right, cool. Have a good one.
Gridiron Grinder. Hut, hut, hike.